It's fine to put it in the paper, but how many times do you find articles?
Here we go, Tim. Here we go, Tim. Among the things that the government rejected, to include the family home and means test, to introduce land tax on the family home, to require parents to work when their youngest child turns 4, restricting rent assistance, reducing remuneration for Defence Force personnel, reducing the capital gains tax discount, removing the Medicare levy, reducing indexation of the age pension, removing the benefits of dividend imputation. Now, look, clearly in an election year, most of those things were never a hope in hell of being adopted. Tim, thanks for your call. I've got to keep moving. I've got Scott Driscoll on the line. He's the chair of the Australian Small Business Coalition and president of the United Retail Federation. Would you have said that this was a missed opportunity yesterday, Scott?
Mark, I think it really is. It's a bit of a surprise, I think, all round that indeed we've seen so little done out of something that really was such a broad and long-term review. 138 recommendations.
And the fanfare for this went on for so long, for months and months. We've had government programs held up. We've had so many things held in abeyance because we've got to wait for this review to be put on the table. And, of course, it has been put on the table, and 95% of it's just been rejected.
Well, you'd have to say it's really an engineered anticlimax, and I think election year is the catchphrase to it all.
Yeah. Let's talk, Scott, from the United Retail Federation about how it's going to affect your members.
Well, Mark, we did a simple little study yesterday and looked at the cut-off for all of this is the definition of a small business under a lot of these rules is 2 million. So we looked at a 2 million turnover business. Take a 10% profit, that's a 200,000 profit on a 2 million business, with a 2% cut of company tax. That's what the government's spruiking yesterday. So if you've got $200,000 profit, that's a $4,000 reduction per annum on tax. Then lump on the 3% super. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, and the government, I think, has performed a bit of a sleight of hand here. Your wage bill on a business that's probably got a $2 million turnover is probably going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 20% on average, somewhere around the $400,000.
Yep.
So when you're talking about a $400,000 wage bill and a 3% increase to the superannuation, that's a $12,000 impost. So you're down 5% on that simple equation alone before you really get into any other detail.
Taking from one hand, giving on the other, and it doesn't actually equate at the end.
Well, Mark, taking a whole lot more in one hand and giving very little on the other is what, unfortunately, we're looking down the barrel of.
Yeah, buddy, I know it's specifically not your area, but how'd you feel if you're in the mining industry?
Well, we've got really big concerns about this because a lot of states, particularly Queensland and WA, rely very much on the businesses that hang off the mining sector. Retail, for example. I mean, we're not an island in this sort of thing. If the mining sector's suffering in WA and Queensland, the retail sector's going to suffer as well because consumer confidence is impacted with job losses. So I think if you're the mining sector, you're going to be looking long and hard at your hiring policies, and that's going to have a real flow-on effect to the rest of the economy.
Yeah, mate, thanks for your input on it this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Scott Driscoll, chair of the Australian Small Business Coalition and the president of the United Retail Federation. This is Talking Canberra, 1206 2CC. It's 16 after 7.